What's up, y'all? It's the J Roos Theory, and we got on Boxing on the Edge is coming on, y'all. He knows his stuff. Go check out his Instagram, showing you how to do different moves, different defenses. And he's coming on. We've been talking about this collaboration for a while. So we're going to do this today. Just a second, y'all. But everybody come on in. Come on in. Hope everybody's having a great day. Let me fix my shirty shirt. What's going on? Going on. All right, there we go. But hope everybody's having a great day today. Sorry, my lighting's not better. I'm gonna fix that in the next couple days. Um, no, one second. Let me see if this helps. I don't know if this helps. There we go. Put some lighting on the situation. But yeah, we got boxing on the edge coming on. Like I said, he knows his stuff about boxing. I gotta get my camera situated. What is going on? Oh, wow. One second, y'all. Technical difficulties. All right, y'all. There we go. Let me see if he's ready to come on. We're waiting on go subscribe to him if you haven't yet. The channel's called Boxing on the Edge, and he really knows his stuff. So make sure you guys go check him out. Show him some love. So what y'all up to? What's going on with y'all? Hope everybody's having a great day, productive day, peaceful day. No stress, if so, minimal stress. You got stress, like I always say, take it to the Most High, Yah, Yahweh, Yeshua, and you'll be okay. So what's going on out there in the boxing world? What's going on? Of course, we got the Ryan Garcia talk going on. We got, of course, we found out that the Beterbiev Bivol fight has been postponed due to injury from Beterbiev, which we all kind of was hoping wouldn't happen because he can get injured in training camp. Let's see. There we go. There he is.
Bro, can you hear
Oh,
me?
hey, Art. Hey, here you are. I can see you.
How you doing?
Hey, how you doing, man?
I'm pretty good,
What?
mate. Pretty good. Yeah, thanks for having me on. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing great, man. I'm still trying to figure out all this technology stuff. You know, I'm not really a tech
Me too, bro. Me.
guy. Yeah, man. So I was telling everybody about your platform, how you know a lot about the sport, your Instagram, you're showing different moves and techniques and things like that. Tell everybody that's subscribed to my platform, like tell
Mm.
us a little bit about your history.
Oh, thanks a lot, man. Yeah, I mean, I started the channel. I really wanted to teach beginners boxing. Excuse the train at the moment; it's just going by. But I wanted to teach beginners like basic fundamental boxing, but you know, at a higher level, but just simplified, but with some like camera, you know, angles and stuff, just in a slightly different way. And it kind of formed into covering fights and stuff like that. Now I just, cause I've got like an artistic side, I guess. I just throw a lot of stuff, you know, against the wall to see what happens. But my goal really was to try to teach beginners boxing. So, and I was just out in the park today, shooting some more videos just to go over some of the old stuff to get some new footage out there. So I'll be putting a bit more of that on the gram as well, and then some of the short videos too, and then try to cover some fights on the main channel. But yeah, just
Wow, man,
yeah, go
that's
ahead.
pretty good, man. Y'all follow him on Instagram, man. He's got a lot of helpful videos. I saw you recently posted some guys sparring in was
Yeah,
it Gleason Gym?
yeah, Gleason's. That's where I've you know trained and fought for a few years as an amateur, but now I I'm in there every week, and you know I just you never know who pops up and spars. That guy that was sparring, actually, I did an interview with him on the channel. He was supposed to spar Errol Spence's cousin, apparently, and the guy never. I don't know what happened to that, but he ended up sparring the other guy, and I was right there, and I just took some footage. But yeah, that's my new Instagram. I'm just starting up a new page, but I'm just gonna put a bunch of stuff from the gym that you know I just might see that comes up in the gym that looks cool and just put it on the gram, you know?
Wow, man. Yeah, I like your form, your technique, and
Thanks,
yeah,
man.
just a great channel, and
Appreciate that. Appreciate that. I'm gonna do a lot more of those videos again because I did a lot of those previously, but I think I'm trying to level up the content a bit now and go back over some of the techniques and like I said, I just started again today and just with the stance, but I just want to reach out and touch beginners really, you know, or anyone that's just new to the sport to try to get um you know, because there's a lot of trainers in there that I'm so grateful that help me, you know, that they're at a very high level, so I'm constantly asking them questions, you know. I'm a very curious dude, so I'm like, what you know, I'm every week I'm like, what, how do you do this? So I try to bring a higher level just down a little bit to beginners and help them understand there's a couple of steps you can take to get pretty good technique quickly, you know. That's the whole ethos really of the channel from a teaching point of view. So
yeah, man, it's like no matter how many years you spend in the sport of boxing, you always learning. Like there's always new things to learn
absolutely,
about. Yeah,
absolutely,
like
absolutely.
punch placement, defense. I mean, mindset. There's all kind. It's like a violent chess game. It's
It's
always
so
some.
true. It is like literally the deepest sport you could ever imagine. You know,
Oh
fighting,
yeah, yeah.
MMA, whatever, boxing. But like, it's like sometimes I wake up. I wake up every day, trying, you know, looking and reading and watching short videos or whatever, just to learn more. But I feel like you know, I've even scraped the surface of what there is to know about this sport. When you really listen to some guys that really know their stuff, or some girls that really know their stuff, I'm like, wow, how did I not know that? And it's just
Yeah.
scratching the surface of what there is to know, really, you know?
Right. Yeah. Like
Oh, sorry to jump in.
I.
I know you have, sorry, mate, James Ali Bashir on your show. And
Yeah.
when you talk about the teachers of the sport, you know, like they have a totally different like wisdom on the whole sport. And I'm just like, I love those interviews you do with him, by the way. They're great.
Oh, I appreciate that. I was just about to mention Coach James and how we talk all the time, and he was telling me the importance of throwing feints, especially as a heavyweight. And see, when I was boxing, like in the gym, I never even knew that. I was like, damn,
Yeah.
I wish I knew all that back when I was fighting.
Yeah, I know. And there's throwing feints. it's quite a skillful thing to do, you know. Like they're not the easiest thing to get really good. You know, throwing a feint can look quite easy, but there's a science behind it too, because you can actually get quite tired from throwing feints if you don't breathe properly, and if you do it too, like, you know, it's part of acting really. You're trying to sell something to another fighter, so if you don't sell it properly, it can work against you. But you can also tire out quickly if you're over fainting and you're not doing it right. You know, there's a you know, even just that alone, little stuff like that. You know, there's so many layers to every single aspect of boxing. It's
Oh
fascinating.
yeah.
You know.
Oh yeah, that when I first started sparring, the quickest thing I had to learn was my breath control. I'm like, man, 3 minutes feels like an hour, so you gotta learn how to breathe. It's like running a marathon while getting punched, you know.
I
It's like,
know, bro, I know. And you're in there and you're getting punched and you're tired and you think, shit. But
yeah,
the breathing part is interesting too, because it's like a lot of the boxing things like come down to, you know, that's why it's so mentally driven, because a lot of it isn't about tough guy. It's not about how many press ups and push ups and all this stuff. It's like the mental side is so key.
oh
And
yeah, yeah. The mental side. I used to talk to Tommy Brooks, a great trainer from trained Holyfield, Mike Tyson,
okay.
and yeah, he was saying like, you know, if your mind's right, you could hit a guy with a bag of bricks and he's not going anywhere. Even Andre Ward talked about his
Yeah.
trainer told him just make up your mind, you're not going down. So
Bro,
a lot of
I
that,
watched that interview literally a couple of days ago about the same thing where he I think he was fighting Edison Miranda at the time. And he
yeah,
spoke about that. Literally I watched that because like it's, yeah, mind over matter too. And like even with the Canelo Munguia fight just recently, like because Munguia, I feel like there was a slight distraction. It took him off guard a little bit, and he got cracked with a shot he didn't see. I felt like
yeah,
if he did see that and bit down and knew it was coming and mentally prepared, he could have taken that shot. But you know, mentality and just, yeah, what Andre Ward, I was a big fan of his back in the day, big time. For videos like that, you know, watching stuff like that, really fascinating. And Virgil Hunter too, you know, another teacher
oh
of the
yeah.
sport. Love those trainers.
Shout out to Bruce Gas in the chat. Thanks for tuning in. Y'all go subscribe to Bruce Gas, Boxing, Jazz, and more.
Mm.
Appreciate you, man. But yeah, speaking of Andre Ward, did you check out his documentary? I checked it out a couple weeks ago. I think it was on was it Netflix or
I
Hulu?
think it
One
might
of
have been.
those. Did
It
you
might.
see it, Andre Ward?
I think it might. Yeah, I saw it a few months ago when it came out. It might have been on Showtime.
Yeah,
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 yeah.
yeah. Oh yeah,
I don't
Showtime.
think I watched the whole thing all the way through, but I enjoyed that.
Mhm.
I used to, like, honestly, him and Virgil Hunter. I used to watch all their interviews back from like early 2000s. So I was like, that was the more raw, like, info I used to get about boxing. I remember his documentary. I don't remember loving it. I remember thinking this is all right. What did you think of it?
Yeah, I thought it was okay. You know, he I didn't know so much that he had such a hard background. That part kind of surprised me, you know. And you know, I knew he grew up in Oakland, which can be a rough neighborhood, but I didn't know he had like messed around with drugs and stuff because he's so disciplined right now. I never would have guessed that, you know, he was dabbling in those type of things. But
That
you know,
surprised me too, actually, because I knew he had a rough background. I knew his dad was a heroin addict and his mum was like, you know, a drug addict as well. I knew he definitely came up. I didn't know that he was selling crack. I didn't. That
yeah,
surprised me. You
I
know
was
what
like,
I
wow,
mean? I
yeah,
was
I was like,
definitely
oh,
so
okay,
disciplined, you know, and like I knew he hadn't lost a fight for so long. I was like, wow, that's kind of surprising. But at the same time, I guess the environment wasn't too far away from him, really. You know.
yeah, that peer pressure. I never was even tempted to do things like that. No matter how hard life gets, I never was tempted to do anything that's gonna
Uh,
harm me. Because I mean, like, I just know it's not gonna help. It's a
no,
temporary fix that
no,
never ends.
absolutely. No, it really surprised me to hear him get involved in stuff like that, to be honest. Really
Yeah,
surprised.
me too.
He's just got a book come out as well that I guess he goes
Oh,
into more
really?
detail about stuff like that.
Oh, yeah. I think I did hear him talk about that. I had
Yeah,
forgotten. Yeah.
yeah,
Wow.
be
Well,
interesting.
changing gears a little bit. who did you like? Even though the fight's been postponed now, who did you like in the Bivol Beterbiev? I had picked Bivol, but it could go either way. But I
Yeah,
picked Bivol.
man, they're so disappointed that fight got rescheduled. I was so looking forward to that, man, big time. I was like
Yeah.
really getting a lot of film studies ready, and I was doing a lot of research on these guys. I've actually got a documentary coming out on the channel about Dmitry Bivol, and
Oh,
I too, it's quite a deep project, but I'm slowly getting there. But the more I've watched him, the more like it was a 50-50 for me. Now I'm like 55-45 Bivol. I just think
oh, yeah.
his ability to well, first of all, he hasn't really like even come close to losing. You know, he's never really, I know he's been buzzed a couple of times, but he's always been so disciplined in there. You know, his defensive responsibilities is just off the charts. And that's the whole Russian Soviet style, is to be a lot of movement. And then, you know, the little subtle things he does on his way out after jabbing with his lead hand, and he never gets sucked into too much of a fight. And if he can stay off the ropes against Beterbiev, that's the main thing, because Beterbiev just lights you up when you're on the ropes, and he just picks you apart and starts to maul you. If you don't,
Yeah.
and I say if you don't, it's a big if. He's a strong guy. Do you know what I mean? At some point, he just
Yeah.
imposes his will. But I think because Bivol's so disciplined and so he's actually low key quite tough as well. You know, there was an old fight that I watched against Sullivan Barrera when he was on HBO, and Bivol had a massive lump on his head, and he got accidentally cut in the eye by a headbutt, and he just had this stoic nature about him where he just saw through the fight and actually ended up getting the stoppage. And to me, that was like, and I'm not comparing Barrera to Beterbiev whatsoever. So he's going to have to go through some shit, I think, to get that win. But he's got the ability to dig in deep as well, and I think he'll come out the gates, outbox Beterbiev for quite a bit. And he's quite hard to nail, Bivol. You know, he's quite hard to get to really get good shots on. But Beterbiev, look, he's knocked everybody out. He bullies people. He wears them down psychologically. He's a lot trickier and smarter and better boxer than people probably realize.
Yeah.
And it's just a great fight, bro. It's a great fight. You know?
Yeah, it's a great matchup, and Bivol has like what, over 300 amateur fights. So I'm like, man, there's probably not a style that he is insane. I mean, for him to just dominate Canelo like that, I mean,
True.
wow.
Yeah, I know. That's a very good
I'll,
point. Same for Beterbiev, though. He's probably got hundreds of fights too. You
yeah, I
know,
was gonna
seen a lot of
say,
Bivol in his time. You know what I mean?
yeah, I was gonna say, I don't know how many amateur fights Beterbiev has, but I'm sure it's probably somewhere around there. But they're
Hundreds.
talking about,
They churn
what is
out
that?
hundreds out there, don't they? Those Eastern
Oh yeah,
European players, hundreds.
yeah,
It's
they're
amazing.
dedicated.
It really is
Yeah.
amazing.
I understand they're going to have someone step in to replace Beterbiev. I was thinking maybe they should just change the whole main event so we can still get the Bivol fight down the road. I wouldn't try to bring in somebody else in the meantime. And what if this guy beats Bivol, then that fight's off the table. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I think I would. Yeah. Do you know who they might be having to step in there against Bivol?
I heard Denzel Bentley being named, who's a British light heavyweight. He actually fought Janet. Oh, was it Janabek? No, maybe I've got that wrong. Maybe it can't be Bentley because he's a middleweight. There's a British fighter that popped up that sounded domestic level, and I was like, okay, if you're gonna, because you are jeopardizing, no matter what happens, you are jeopardizing that fight. But at the same time, if you are Bivol, the training camp he's probably going through, like, what do they do? Because what do they just sit around and wait again, even though there's no guarantee that fight actually even happens if Beterbiev's breaking down as he is. You got to get active at some point. So I don't know. I think if you bring in a domestic level fight that Bivol's supposed to beat, I think it's probably okay. But I think they'll have to be quite wise with the matchmaking as well, because you don't want to make it too much of a mismatch either.
Yeah, and if this guy's on a domestic level, can they still sell that as the main event? That's what I'm trying to learn.
I don't know. But I mean, I think, to be honest, that card is so stacked. I don't think it will hurt so much. You know, I think obviously it's a devastating for the card because that is a major fight. That's the best fight on there. But they've got some names on there. You know, it's not like it's the only name on there and there's nobody else fighting. I think that would be a bit different if it was that. But that card can be carry itself because of Hrgovic and Dubois and Hamza Shiraz is on there, and who else is on
Wilder,
there?
Zhang.
Oh yeah, Wilder, Zhang, and then Ford and Nick Ball and Raymond Ford, and there's another fight too. Shakan Pitters is the fighter that I'm thinking of that I heard being replaced. He actually so Craig Richards, who's on that card, who lost to Bivol, I think he beat Shakan Pitters. So he's at that sort of British domestic level, which I guess is I don't know if it's a probably a one-sided beatdown from Bivol, I'd imagine, but it keeps him busy though, you know.
Yeah.
So I don't
Did you catch the little trailer? I thought it was pretty epic with Frank Warren and Eddie Hearn. It was like a movie trailer. I was like, wow, they really trying to market these fights. Did you catch that?
I haven't seen that one yet. I know they've been doing them for every Saudi card, you know, the Ngannou fights. They just have it's just the top level theater dramatic. Like they must have spent so much money on it, but I haven't seen that one yet. What's it like? It's good.
Yeah, it kind of had a I don't know, kind of like a martial arts feel to it, and kind of like a James Bond type of feel. Like Eddie Hearn looks like the next James Bond. It's just these little quick action scenes, and they got a little storyline that goes with it. I actually like this trailer better than the Day of Reckoning one with all the zombies and stuff. I actually prefer this one. But,
yeah, I've got to check it out. I'm sure Eddie Hearn will probably get another ego boost from his James Bond like character role. You know, he loves all that stuff. It's funny how him and Frank Warren were like bitter rivals, and now the money's there. They're okay all of a sudden. You know.
Yeah, man, that's what. Yeah, now money brings people to the table. Oh, shout out to Sports Predictions 101. Thanks for coming through. Appreciate you. Go subscribe to Sports Predictions 101. Great channel, knows his stuff too. And yeah, but back to that Eddie Hearn, Frank Warren thing where they're sitting at the table in the trailer. He said they actually took 6 hours to film that. So they were sitting at that table for 6 hours just to get it right. I'm like, wow.
Those two together, I'm sure, really, let's be honest, don't probably have that much in common outside of money. Let's be honest.
Yeah, I doubt it too. Yeah,
that's funny, man. That's funny. I'll check it out after this live stream.
Yeah, man, I think you'll enjoy it. Oh, who do you got in Zhang versus Deontay? I got Zhang, but I want Wilder win, but I think
me too. I to be honest, like it's quite a weird fight because you know, while Wilder, I think he's that performance he put in against Parker. I mean, he looked dreadful. Let's be honest. His coordination looks shot to pieces. It's just a desire. I think he's getting money now. I know he's been doing his like South American like drinking of that ayahuasca or whatever it is. That spiritual tripping he's been doing, which can't be helpful for him. So I think he's probably just looking at getting a bag now and like to re-up, and I don't know, man. He just his coordination looked all over the place. But at the same time, you know, pre Parker fight, I was like, Wilder's only really got to land that right hand. It was just Parker who was able to neutralize it by coming in and tucking under nicely. Parker fought a great fight, to be honest with you. You know, so really, I think Wilder, you know, they could both land on each other so quickly. You know, Zhang's got sneaky sharp power as well. I mean, I don't know. It's I probably would favor Zhang, to be honest with you. Like after just watching Wilder, because even though he fought Helenius and he did knock him out, he looked like a very uncomfortable kind of he was doing a lot of lateral movement, but his coordination isn't the best. So, but again, it can just turn a fight around in one shot. You know, Wilder's right hand is so devastating that if he can't Zhang with anything like that, you know, it just depends. I think tactically he'd have to try to take Zhang into deep waters in terms of, you know, maybe get the fight late. Zhang tires out a little bit. Maybe he can get some openings, but I don't know. It's a weird fight to predict because I don't know when Wilder fought a southpaw either. Do you know?
That's the thing. Yeah, southpaw that can punch. Bruce Gas says that Wilder is predicted to fight Jared Anderson if he beats Zhang. If Zhang wins, yeah. I heard. Shout out to Counterpunch Boxing News. He did a video about Shelly Finkel was saying that they're not really thinking about Anderson. They're just focused on Zhang. But Prince Turkey's trying to hurry these fights along. So I
Oh,
don't know if he just.
I was about to say he's not thinking about the Anderson fight until Big Turk comes in and says, "Well, how much you want for this guy?" And they're like, "Okay, that's what it's all about, really," and that's what gets the fights over the line. It's fighters are willing to do it for millions, and I think it's great for the sport in terms of the fighters getting paid and us getting the fights that we probably wouldn't get without Big Turk because there's not enough money there. But
Right,
I
right.
think it's a dangerous fight for Wilder, to be honest, against Anderson. Um,
Yeah.
I think he's quite a very talented young man, although he puts himself in the firing line too. So if Wilder's got anything left in that right hand, it's another interesting one. You know?
Yeah, like I know one thing, Zane can't come in again at 291. That was just way too heavy. I mean, that's way too heavy. I mean, he could hardly throw his
He
punch.
looked podgy as well, didn't he? Zhang looked really out of shape and like
Yeah,
just too flabby for me. Like how he's getting on, but I don't like seeing that in a big fighter. Really.
yeah, 291. I know he's 6'6", but that's still like I just don't understand. You already can punch, so you don't really need that much weight to assist in your punch. I mean, he could come in at 250 and be just as powerful. He doesn't need to be 291. That's
Do you think it was do you think it was just a lack of discipline outside the ring?
Yeah, I think his diet is a bit questionable. He said he changed it, and he said that's what was fatiguing him, like the stuff he was eating. But I don't
Mm.
know. I see him like boiling eggs and eating sandwiches, but I don't know what else he's putting on those sandwiches.
Yeah, I don't know. It looked like he's just like he's getting to that age where he's been in boxing a very long time. He's had some couple of good wins. He's probably earned a bit of money, and it's like you just at that age, if you're not in the gym all the time, and you're not taking care of your diet and stuff like that, you can probably put on the pounds quite quickly. You know.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, he's gotta stay in the gym even when he doesn't have a fight schedule. Because that
Exactly.
shoot,
That's
I mean, back in the days, like when I go back and watch old fights with like Tim Witherspoon, back then, if a guy came in at 235, they're like, "Oh man, he's overweight." I'm like, what would they say nowadays?
yeah, dramatic change, isn't it? Wow.
Yeah,
So diligent back then, weren't they? So diligent.
yeah, and then like I've said this a couple times too on some of my videos. When I go back and watch the fights from the 80s and 90s, like Ray Mercer, David Tua, the punches are so much faster. Look, I'm like, is this sped up? It's like
Yeah. Yeah.
they're just throwing a lot like Tommy Morrison, Razor Ruddock. I'm like, their punches just look faster. I'm like,
That's an
wow.
interesting point, actually. Now you mention that. It's
Yeah,
a good point. It just does seem like it's slowed down quite a bit. you know?
yeah, yeah. The heavyweights are so big now that it's like we got the NBA now in the boxing ring. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's like I
Funny.
don't know, man. But what are some of the fights that you're looking forward to or that you want to happen?
Well, obviously, the better Bivol, we talked about that. Obviously, the
Yeah,
Fury Usyk one is next week, which I guess we can talk about. In terms of other potential matchups, I'd love to see Crawford and Boots, to be honest.
oh,
That,
right.
and then there's a couple of fights at 140, Subriel Matias and maybe Teofimo Lopez, or I guess Ryan Garcia. Whatever's happening with him and Devin is a bit of a mess right now. It's hard
Yeah,
to even understand what the hell's going on with all that. But
yeah,
so Garcia and Teo as well is a pretty decent fight. But Subriel Matias, I want to see who the king at 140 is. And I'd love to see Boots Ennis in some big fights as well. And I don't know, man. I feel like there's so many good fights to be made right now. And I think boxing's looking pretty good this year, you know? How about
yeah.
you?
Yeah, I'm just hearing recently, like yesterday, that Prince Turkey's trying to get Crawford and Canelo in the ring. I'm like, oh man, I'll pay to see that one. I
Yeah,
will pay to see Crawford Canelo.
yeah, definitely. I think that's probably what Crawford wants. A couple of fights left, maybe trying to get undisputed at 154 and then get a massive payday and then get out of the sport, you know, because the Canelo payday with him, that'd be a mega payday. And then, you know, he just tested himself to dare to be great, basically. And that's what we want in the sport. It's like, you know, I wouldn't want to see him go up higher than that, though. You know, there comes a time where boxers have to draw the line on the weight because it gets just a bit too much. But I was watching an interview on Nadeem Richardson the other day, and he was talking about going up in weight, and fighters like Crawford, like Floyd and stuff like that, where they just have so much skill that, you know, they can diffuse the size of a man and just, you know, apply their skill set accordingly, which are always, there is a limit, but, you know, Canelo is probably that limit. But yeah, it's an interesting fight. I definitely would love to see that, see how Crawford deals with him, you know.
I actually favor Crawford in that fight. I think Crawford's walking around at like 180. Like I just saw him at the press conference for the fight he has coming up in Los Angeles, and he was bigger than I forget the guy's name, but he was bigger than this guy. And I'm seeing videos where he's like wrestling heavyweights and slamming people. I'm like, wow, this dude he's got like that natural strength.
Yeah, he definitely has that wrestling background too, that physical, low key. Like I've seen him do the benches of like what he bench presses a crazy amount.
He's really strong.
No, he is. And then, you know, you add his skill set and his IQ and his timing and all that. I think he'd probably keep away from Canelo. It'd be a fascinating fight because Canelo would probably do what he normally does and try to walk him down. And Canelo's lateral movement is not the best. It's probably a weaker part of his game, I'd say. So Crawford could, you know, find some success with that. But I don't know. They'd have to exchange at some point. You'd think, you know, that's when it would get interesting. How can he take Canelo's, you know, shots, even if they're on the arm and stuff like that? You know, Canelo likes to light up the arm.
Get your guard down. Yeah, that's some good points. Sports Predictions 101 says undisputed at 154 will be the chopping point for Bud. He shouldn't even try to go to 168 at all. I mean, I would support him, but I can't see him beating Canelo at 168. So yeah, a lot of people think that you know, Crawford should, you know, stop at some point, not, you know, definitely not go to cruiserweight, you know.
No. Well, unless he's getting 200 million. If he's getting 200 million, he might do it, you know.
Yeah, you give him two. Yeah, he'll probably go to heavyweight.
No, you don't want to do that, really. But obviously, every fighter has a limit where it's like that's crazy, you know.
Yeah, I don't know if you're familiar with the heavyweight from California, Olympian Richard Torres Jr., but he was talking about Crawford would put him in a headlock or pinned him, and he couldn't do anything. I'm like, wow.
Yeah, he's a strong guy too. Like, I don't know, like that's why technique and like skill was so important. You know, when like, you know, you have that crazy weird wrestling skill that Crawford does. And his clinch game as well is off the charts. You know, he's just an amazing fighter. But that's an interesting story to hear. Him headlock heavyweights.
Yeah, I was like, wow. I mean, when I saw him in the ring against Errol Spence, I thought he looked like the physically bigger guy in the ring. Like everybody's talking about Errol Spence was bigger. I was like, doesn't look like it. I didn't see it.
Yeah, he pushed him back in like the first or second round. He just shoved him off him, and Spence kind of went flying back a little bit. And I was like, wow.
Yeah, Showbiz the adult was at the fight, and he said when that shove happened, he said the whole crowd was like, "Oh, it's over." Like Errol's done.
Yeah, I mean that was a big question mark, wasn't it, going into that fight? Is that where's the physical strength going to come in, and will Errol be able to bully him? And that got answered pretty quickly. You know?
Yeah, man. That fight, man. What Sports Prediction says, they say Bud's a good wrestler too. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Tony's Reviews in the building. Shout out to you, Tony. Go subscribe to Tony's Reviews. We go in there and chop it up too. So shout out to y'all for tuning in. Just talking a little Bud and Errol Spence. Let me ask you, what do you think is next for Errol Spence? What should he do? I understand him and Derek James are, having some financial disputes. So what do you think is next for Errol Spence?
Yeah, I don't know, man. It's really sad to hear that, isn't it? When they were together for so long, and then like, it's always something, money comes up, and they have a fallout. It is sad to hear that, but in terms of like, I honestly, it's really, you would be, it's a question mark to see where he is after he took, a pretty massive beating, really. So you got the
Yeah.
psychological damage of that. Then you've got obviously, he had a major accident. I don't know if you ever get rid of psychological damage from that, although, I know he had some eye issues too. Like, I don't know. I don't know. I wish him well. I hope like maybe he can get a last money fight or something. Maybe like that's probably why he was trying to home in on Fondora. That was like a kind of a backdoor way in, really, to get a world title and then maybe keep the belt and then have some fights in Texas as a champ. I don't know, but
Yeah.
I guess we probably won't know until we see him back in the ring to see how his health is. Really, there's still a lot of question marks. There has to be, because of the last time we saw him. He's getting beaten up, and I know that was largely down to Bud, but you wonder how he is just mentally after that. He sounds okay, and he's I don't know. Only he will know, and I guess we will find out if he does have another fight and he starts taking some shots or whatever, how he sounds and feels. But at the end of the day, it does get dangerous for fighters at this end of the career. When they have to get, they've been fighting for so long. Even training camps are a toll. Take a toll on your body. You still have to spar a lot. You're still getting punched in the face. You're still doing the grueling running, and I know he was in the mountains. I saw him the other day, actually. I don't know where it was, but he was on high altitude, putting the road work in. So, but he's an animal, So sometimes fighters like that are too brave for their own good. Maybe he's one of them.
Yeah, man. I know, like, I see fighters nowadays have longer training camps, and I remember Lennox Lewis's training camps would be like 8 weeks
Yeah.
tops or
Yeah.
7 weeks. Now these guys go like 12 and 13 weeks. So
Sometimes.
apparently, yeah, apparently Errol Spence doesn't do that because I don't know, there's a rumor that he was high in the ring. Look at his eyes in that ring before the Crawford
I
fight.
saw that going around too, like, because to be honest, he has this kind of like a lazy kind of look about him anyway, but I don't, I can't imagine that would have really helped him in a fight, smoking weed before. Maybe he was, I don't know. That would be a terrible thing to do right before you're fighting the best fighter in the world. But
Yeah.
I don't know if there's to that, but hopefully for his sake, he wasn't high. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. Like, if he was, like, what was he thinking? I know Terrence Crawford had put a tweet to him before the fight about, like, we know what you're doing, like, clean yourself up. So he was kind of alluding to some substance issues, but I don't
Yeah,
know, man.
he definitely. I know he's been in clubs and stuff and like drinking a little bit and ballooning up in weight and showing up drunk at press conferences. So maybe they're talking about that, but
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. I don't know, bro.
Well, hey, if Errol, you're looking for a trainer right here, Boxing on the Edge.
You gotta come to New York, though, bro.
Yeah.
Actually,
Yeah.
funny. He's actually. I think he's born in Long Island. I think he
Oh,
might have
was he?
family out here because he's definitely born out here, and then I know they moved to Texas when he was young. But
Wow.
I saw him in the gyms actually at Gleason's when he was coming up, like just hitting the bag, just whacking the bag.
Oh,
He fought. My old trainer had a fighter called Emmanuel Larty, and they fought Errol Spence when Errol Spence was coming up when he was like 8-0, 9-0, something like that. Larty actually cracked him with a right hook and buzzed him. It was
oh, wow.
one of the only fights where Spence, prior to the Ugas fight, was actually visibly buzzed, and
Wow.
ended up winning that. Spence ended up winning that fight, but that was a little
Yeah.
bit interesting history there for my old trainer.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of wars that go on behind closed doors that I know back in the day you weren't supposed to say what happened in sparring, but now people are leaking footage and You know,
Now it's just the times have changed so much, bro. Everybody like airing out everyone's DMs and putting sparring footage up. But it's not like something I've ever like. That's I know you, me and you probably grew up in the same mentality where it's like that's you don't air out anyone's DMs, let alone a friend that you thought was reaching out to you and just air it out to the world. To me, that is
yeah,
just wrong. You know.
yeah. Yeah, I would never do that. For one, it's going to be hard to find sparring after that because someone's going to say, "Well, if I have a bad day, you're going to put the footage out." So
That's the
I'll
thing,
pass.
though. It ends up shooting them in the foot because it's such a
Yeah,
sick move. It's like it's actually going to hurt you in the long run because no one's going to even want to DM you anymore because they know that they're
right.
going to get their DMs aired out, and B, you're not going to get the sparring because, like you said, the footage might get leaked. It's just weird.
Right.
The whole leaking
Yeah,
sparring is weird.
yeah. That's one of the reasons that I never really took to Devin Haney because I saw some footage where he was sparring and he was just like cussing at the guy, insulting him. I was like, he was
Mm,
just going in on him. I'm like, dude, he's trying to help you get better, and you're just like,
yeah.
he was just doing way too much.
It's a shame when you hear stories like that. You never know like the full story, but I haven't seen that. You know who he was sparring with or when that was?
This was probably like 2 years ago. I'm not sure when the footage was taken. It might have been way early in his career, and I don't remember the guy's name, but Devin
Mm.
was just like verbally beating him worse than he was doing in the ring. I was like, man, come on, man.
Well, the one thing I'll say on that is like with sparring, I'm sure you know this too, is like you don't always get the full story, right? Being that like that guy could have done something to him before that and offended him or insulted him or talked some shit about his dad, whatever. You never really know, and that's why like even today I see a lot of sparring in the gym and some guys are getting ready and they'll have like five fresh guys in a row come in and they have to stay in. And then, like, if you were to catch that sparring session on the fifth round and you think, wow, this guy's getting touched up a little do you know, he's had 5 rounds of just fresh fighters coming
Yeah,
in, laying it on him, and he's got to deal with this. And then you might get that clip from the sixth round and you think, oh, he's getting pieced up. But
yeah,
it could be something like that too, where, like I said, the guy might have been talking shit to him, but I don't know. It can get, sparring can get wild,
yeah.
especially in American gyms. Like it's not so bad as in the UK, from what I hear. But it's more
Oh,
violent in America.
oh, really?
Yeah,
Why do you think that is?
I don't know. There's a channel that I love. Hatman Strikes Back. He's an original
Oh, yeah, I'm familiar. Yeah,
OT. Great channel. I've learned a lot from him, and he was the one telling me he used to box in the UK too, and I heard it from him. So I don't know why that is, but I couldn't begin to tell you because I haven't ever been in the gym in the UK. To be honest, I learned all my trade in America, so all I knew was rough sparring.
yeah,
Reasons, but oh my god, I used to get my ass kicked. But that's all I knew. I just thought that was the norm, So I was
yeah.
surprised to hear that people took it light over there or lighter.
I have a theory on why that is. I think because Americans talk too much. They're always like bragging, and I'm gonna do this, and your mother this, and I'm gonna beat you. Like, it's like
Yeah, there might be some. There might be some. British people are quite reserved by nature. And
yeah,
I don't want to say more respectful because I know plenty of Americans that are really respectful, but
yeah,
it could be down to just the nature of the country's reservedness. It just might trickle over into that. Americans are a bit more out there like that, and
yeah,
you get a lot of ego and testosterone flying around in the gym, and you get a shot that might land somewhere a little harder than you didn't want it to, and then all of a sudden you get the ego kick in. I remember aspiring this dude back in the day. And I hadn't sparred for a couple of years. I stopped fighting for a bit and I wasn't really training. I got back in there and he was cool. We'd sparred for a long time before that. And I went back in there and I just let my hand go, right? Real fast, hard body shot. It didn't really mean to throw it that hard. And it hit him quite hard. And it pissed him off, bro. And he came back and he broke my ribs.
Oh, wow.
Because he'd been training 2 years and he was a little bit bigger than me and he pissed him off so much it turned him and he really started to like load up on me and I went to throw a left hook and he threw a right hand to my stomach and I felt my rib crack and I go, oh my god, I probably deserved that. But it can get wild in a minute, you let the wrong punch go at the wrong time and like I said, ego kicked in. So
Wow.
stories to tell, yeah. Still broken
Yeah.
now. You can't fix a
Yeah.
broken rib, you know.
Yeah. Did it mess with your breathing at
Yeah,
all?
yeah. I couldn't talk. I could not talk. I had to finish. I finished the round. Luckily, there's only about 30 seconds left, and then I got out the ring. And I was trying to explain what happened, and I couldn't actually talk. I was like, it's in all sorts of
Oh,
trouble.
man. Ooh, yeah, man. It's definitely a pain sport. I mean, just hearing your story made me think. I've seen that in the gym too. It was a heavyweight boxing, a middleweight. And
Mm.
the middleweight, I guess, cracked him with something, and he was like, "Okay, now if you hit me like that, I'm gonna go all out too." And it got pretty nasty.
Yeah.
They had to just get out the ring because it
Well,
just
that's the
started to
thing is
be
that when it
too
starts
much.
to explode like that, sorry to cut you off, bro. When it
Oh
explodes like
no, go
that,
ahead.
it goes in one direction because people are so amped up. It's boxing. You can literally legally put your hands on someone. So when there's talk that happens like that, it's not going to get chilled out unless there's a good trainer in there to be like, guys, calm down.
Right, right, yeah. It got ugly. They had to both get out the ring.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. But
Yeah, I mean,
it can get weird really quickly. You know, I've seen some very violent sparring sessions over my years.
oh, yeah, yeah. I remember I was at the gym once. Shout out to my old trainer Billy Moore, son of the great Archie Moore. He was my trainer, and there was a
Oh,
heavyweight. What's
that's all.
that?
I said that he was your trainer.
Yeah, Billy Moore. He's the son of Archie Moore in San Diego.
Wow, that's awesome, man. You must have learned loads of stuff from him.
Oh yeah, man. Yeah. The problem was though, back then, I don't know if he's still doing it. He was doing a lot of missionary work, so he'd be like going to Africa and stuff. So I
Mm,
was I ended up linking up with this other guy because he was traveling so much, but he's a real cool, real nice guy, man. And
yeah,
he did teach me some. He used to box himself. He didn't have the career that his dad had, but he knew a lot. And
yeah.
I remember I was in the gym once, and there was this. I think his name was Mika. He was a big Samoan guy, and
Mm.
there's a heavyweight that came in, got off of work, took his clothes off, got in the ring, and got knocked out in like 2 minutes. I was like, wow, dude. It's like all he did was take his clothes off, get in the ring, got knocked out, and went back home. I was like, wow, that was quick.
Probably never came back after that, right?
Yeah, I never saw the guy again. I was like, man, dude, that
I've
was
seen those
fast.
stories too. I've seen dudes come in and they're acting all tough, and then they want to spar, and then they get their ass kicked, and you never see them. You never see them again. It's hilarious.
Yeah. Yeah, the first guy I sparred, his name was Alex something. He was from the UK, and he was like 6'6", 6'7". He was like 10 pounds heavier than me, and I was just watching him. I was like, man, I'm gonna go in there and jab this guy. Man, he must have put a clinic on me. That dude was jabbing my head off. I was like, man, and he's the only guy I've ever sparred that like I couldn't move him, and he couldn't move me either though. But
Yeah.
like I would literally try to move him, he wasn't budging. I was like, man, this dude is strong.
Yeah, yeah, that's interesting, isn't it? Because it's like punching someone with a really good chin. At some point, you're just not going to knock them out. You know, there's pro trainers that have
Yeah,
said that about fighters. They're like, stop trying to knock him out. And like, when you
yeah,
feel a physically strong guy, like, don't try because you're gonna exert so much energy trying to be the strong man as well. You know,
yeah,
it's yeah.
yeah, yeah, man. And I remember he hit me with a body shot right before the. That was my first time sparring. He hit me like in the sternum, and like knocked the air out of me. And I'm trying to play it off like it didn't hurt. I'm in the bell rung. I was like, oh, thank goodness.
Well, that's the key, though, isn't it? Trying to play it off and do the
Yeah,
poker face is a big part of it, and
yeah,
that takes a lot to do that because you're hurt, but you don't want to show you're hurt. It's a big
yeah,
design. I remember back in the day when I was sparring, like I used to spar a lot of fighters that were open fighters, which is more than 10 fights for anyone that is listening. You know that it's like slightly more experienced. I was a bit more novice, and he was like he'd hurt me a few times. He's like, bro, you need to really conceal your when you get hurt, stop showing it so much. And I was like, what are you gonna do? You hurt me, bro. Like, but it's a skill that you learn over time. When you get hurt, you're supposed to just be like, all right, that didn't hurt. Let's just
yeah.
keep going.
Poker face.
Yeah, it's not easy to do straight away as a novice, but you do learn eventually how to conceal your pain. And
That
those guys taught me a lot.
that's one of the problems I had with the movie Creed 2 is every time like Drago's son would hurt Donnie, he'd be on the ground like, oh, like dude, who does that? Like he's screaming and like in a fetal position. I'm like, dude,
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. I can't remember that bit, but I can imagine that's just not boxing at all, doing it like that, showing how
Yeah.
good you are, you know.
Yeah, he's like, oh, and screaming. Like, I know it's for dramatic effect because it's a movie, but I mean, like, come on, man. It's like the audience is too sophisticated now for all that. Like,
Right, I know.
but what was I gonna ask you about? Well, speaking of movies, what are some of your favorite boxing films of all time?
Um, you know, honestly, like I quite liked Cinderella Man. I know that wasn't like
Oh
a
yeah, I
sought
remember
after
that.
film. I was quite enjoyed Russell Crowe as an actor back in the day. You know, I quite
Yeah,
enjoyed the realism of that. I thought the fight scenes were pretty cool. It was based off a true story. It was James J. Braddock. You know how he beat Max Baer back in the 30s, and it was like, you know, the depiction of America and the Great Depression and stuff like that. I enjoyed that. You know, I think Raging Bull was up there for a big,
yeah.
but me, like, I think Rocky one probably.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, the whole Rocky one's really Rocky four, but Rocky one I really enjoyed just the laying the foundations and the story. Um, I'm trying to think of now. Obviously, just you know, I generally like any boxing movie to be honest with you, but I think
Yeah.
Cinderella Man was probably up there for me. How about you?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm a Rocky and Creed guy. I just think the fights in the Rock, other than the bad defense in the Rocky movies, I always thought the fights looked more real than the other movies. I thought
Yeah,
other movies
I
they
agree.
looked too choreographed.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, like
they got
I didn't
real
like
fighters.
Ali either
They got
with the
Andre
rules
Ward
set.
in and Bellew and stuff. You know, they got real fighters in.
Yeah, yeah, Tony Bellew. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, man.
I'm
But
trying to think of the movies that, like, I know there's probably one or two I've forgotten about. There was actually one, I haven't seen it for a long time. It was actually with Daniel Day-Lewis, who's an amazing actor. It's called The Boxer. And I think it was,
yeah, I know what you're talking about, but I haven't seen it. But I know the movie you're talking about.
yeah, I don't think I've seen it in its entirety. I think I've saw a little bit of it. I think it was quite highly acclaimed back in the day, but I think there's quite a political undertone to it as well back in Northern Ireland, I think it was. But I'd have to give that a watch over just because Daniel Day-Lewis is an amazing actor. You know, wherever he's in is usually just watching him is a pretty special experience anyway, you know.
Oh, did you ever, speaking of great actors, did you ever see Denzel in The Hurricane? That was a good movie.
Yeah, yeah, I like that. Yeah, that was based off a true story, wasn't it? That was
Yeah,
Reuben the Hurricane Carter.
right.
Was yeah, I haven't seen that for a while. I enjoyed that. Yeah,
Yeah,
always enjoyed Denzel.
I liked Mark Wahlberg where he played
Yeah,
was it
the
Mickey
fighter,
Rourke?
fighter.
Yeah, the fighter, right. Yeah.
Yeah, that's one I forgot about actually. That was good. That was really good.
Yeah.
And I like that because they brought in the whole like HBO crew. They made the fights
Yeah.
very realistic. And Mark Wahlberg looked like he had a little bit of technique as well. And then who was it? Christian Bale. God, he was great in that, wasn't he?
Oh yeah, that movie was and I forget about it. That was a great movie.
Yeah, that's definitely one that snuck past my radar. But yeah, I enjoyed that. That was good. Quality film.
Yeah, man. Mark Wahlberg is he's staying in shape and what was I was about to ask you something and it slipped my mind about oh, I was gonna say when you were talking about the HBO telecast being in that movie, I was gonna say I don't know how you feel about the DAZN announcing, but I'm not too big on it. I miss the days of Merchant, Lampley, and George Foreman.
Yeah.
Like who are your some? I like Al Bernstein. Like who are some of your favorite commentators coming up, and like what do you think is missing now? Like we have these big fights and the mega events, but the commentating would be a lot easier.
Mediocrity is what you get with the current broadcasters for the most part. There's one or two. I quite like Gabe Rosado these days at the Zone.
Oh yeah.
Manuel Stewart with Jim Lampley, Max Kellerman.
Oh
You know,
yeah.
no, like he had a divided opinion, but he filled in the gaps nicely. You know, he had a good boxing knowledge, and then you know you had Emmanuel Stewart, Roy Jones,
Right.
uh, Andre Ward times. You know, I kind of miss him. I think. Yeah, the DAZN commentary, like, it's not great, is it? Let's be honest. The UK
Yeah,
one is worse, I think, and there's just like they're just bland and mediocre. Just there's no charisma. You know, when they took
yeah,
Paul Gallinari out of Showtime, you know what? Like, he was really good, and then, like, you know, no disrespect to any of the other guys. You know what I mean? It's not nothing against them, but they just lack
yeah,
that bit of, like, that little gem that gets dropped where you're like, oh wow, yeah, okay, I never thought of it like that. And those commentators used to drop the right thing just the right time, and it was like,
yeah,
mesmerized. I used to learn so much from listening to the commentary. Actually,
yeah.
back
Same
when I
here.
first really got into boxing heavily was early, like late 2000, 2009, 2008, 2009, and then I was watching HBO a lot, and I just used to listen to Emmanuel Stewart, and I would learn so much about the sport from him, and I feel like that doesn't happen anymore. You know, there's
Oh
no
yeah,
guys that, well, there's not none, obviously, but not as much, you know.
yeah. Emmanuel Stewart, man, such a classy guy. Me and my
Yeah.
mother were at the Lennox Lewis Oliver McCall rematch in Vegas, 1997.
Oh,
And he's coming out the dressing room before the fight, and me and my mom wave at him. He comes over and like hugs my mom. He didn't even know us. Like classy guy, dude. Like he wasn't even tense before the fight. Like, oh, we gotta focus. He's like, oh, hey, he comes over and hugs. I was like, wow, man, this dude he's cool,
yeah, I've always liked his vibe. I've always loved. I watched and listened to a lot of his interviews. You know, I try to home in on the teachers and the real pillars of the sport of teaching. You know, like him, like Virgil Hunt and Nazim Richardson. Those are the ones that I grew up really focusing, because they were around when I was just starting to get into it and wanted to learn a bit deeper about the well, philosophy. Really, you know, they're very philosophical guys, and
Yeah,
just much knowledge and education there, and you know, it's missing today in the sport. You know, actually,
yeah,
Breadman, Caleb Plant's trainer, he'll
yeah.
pop up a few shows on, I think it might be ESPN, or he's done some random shows where I'm like, I like listening to him because he has a little bit of that, a younger
Yeah, I
version of
like him.
teachers, you
Yeah.
know.
I like him, Andy Lee. I'm big on Ben Davidson, Bomac.
Yeah,
Yeah,
great points. Yeah, good points. There's a few Ben Davison for sure. He's very underrated as a trainer. I think he's slowly
I
getting.
love Ben Davidson, man.
But yeah, he's good, man. He really is. What do you think about this Usyk fight? Then I'd love to get your opinions. I know your zeitgeist for the heavyweight boxing is always,
Yeah.
but it always gets me thinking, bro. When I watch your channel, I'm like, I never thought of it like that. What are your thoughts on this Usyk Fury fight?
Wow. Yeah, I appreciate that, man. At first, I was saying Fury, but when I saw Fury seem to be doing everything in his power not to fight Usyk, I was like, okay, he knows something I don't know. I'm
That's well
like, yeah,
put. Well put, bro. It's exactly what it is, isn't it? He's doing everything he can't, so he can't fight him.
yeah. It's like when I see a guy kind of being elusive, I'm like, okay, you know something. And I heard Fury say one of his hardest fights was against a guy like Usyk size. So I'm like, I think Usyk will win, but I know he's gonna be having a hard time to win because they really want Fury Joshua. So I'm
Yeah,
hoping there's no
true.
crazy decisions, but I think if it's legitimate, I think Usyk by probably like a split decision.
Yeah, I've been
Who
picking
do you got in
Usyk.
that?
Yeah, I've been picking Usyk for a while, for just like the build up to this for Tyson Fury. He just is outside the ring, you know, just discipline, I guess. You know, will catch up a little bit.
Mhm.
His mental arithmetics before the fight is just a bit out of character. He doesn't like. I think there's. I'm going to do actually a keys to victory video on, I think, Monday, when I watch a little bit more footage about these two and just see if I can sum up. I watched the Warlin fight, Fury Warlin, and he was having a lot of difficulty with landing his right hand, a little bit. And, you know, I just think he's not going to be able to time Usyk. Usyk's going to be so slippery and in front of him, and I watched a interview with Duke McKenzie, who's a British former world champion, actually, 3 weight division world champion. And he had an interesting breakdown, how he was saying Usyk was going to basically back Fury up. He wasn't going to fall for the feints and the little games that Fury does. He's too smart for stuff like that. And he said he was going to walk Fury down and try and get him out. Probably fancied a stoppage in the middle to late rounds. And it got me thinking, you know, I was like, yeah, he made some interesting points. But I definitely have Usyk winning that. But you can't write off Tyson Fury because he's so like, I don't know, he can just show up and put an amazing, I wouldn't be so surprised if he showed up and put an amazing performance in either. I just, maybe he's a little past it now to do that, but he has got that in him. When he rises to the occasion, he's got one hell of a will, one hell of a heart, and he's an awkward guy as well. But I don't know, it's a really interesting fight. It's got my fascination up a bit more now. It's getting closer in. I haven't really made too many videos about it lately, but now I'm thinking about it. I'm like, this is actually a really fascinating fight.
Yeah, that's an interesting take you have. And what the thing you made me think of is I saw a quick clip on Instagram where they were asking Beterbiev about Usyk, and he said he can definitely be hurt to the body, but he said he didn't recommend Fury tried it too often. Like Usyk might be waiting for it.
Yeah, and also another thing is like, I don't think Fury's particularly a prolific body puncher. I'm not saying
Yeah,
he
he's
can't.
not.
He's so long and he's so tall up here, and he likes to use that jab and box like that. Committing to the body is a slightly different style. You really got to commit to it. I can't see. I know he dropped Wilder with a body shot, but if you look how Wilder was actually boxing that night, I mean, my God, my nan could have probably landed that shot. It was just all over the place. But I can't see Fury really being that successful to the body, if I'm honest. I'm not saying it can't happen. It's not really. It's not really his thing. But I've got to watch a bit of footage. Maybe I've missed some stuff. I want to watch the Wallin fight again, and his level of competition as well in the last three fights has been not what you would want to set you up. And then obviously he's ballooning up in weight. He's done. Let's not forget the eye as well. That was a bad eye cut. I wonder if that's going to be a factor. If it's going to open back up again. It's a lot could happen.
Yeah, I'd forgotten about the eye issue.
Yeah, it was a big cut.
Yeah.
It was a massive cut.
Yeah, I hope the fight doesn't get stopped on cuts. That'd be really disappointing.
Yeah.
But,
Well, I wouldn't be mad if like Usyk really like pieced him up and actually deserved to maybe light the eye up where he was hitting it cleanly and outboxing him and then getting the stoppage like that. So he really. But if it was a weird opening, I know what you mean. But I think I don't even know because it was such a big talking point and then it just went away.
Yeah.
It's still there.
Right. Yeah, I'd forgotten about it myself till you mentioned. I was like, oh yeah, the cut.
Yeah, it wasn't that long ago. It was like 2 months ago. I was like, giant cut. And I made a video about this at the time. I was like, well, if he's just going to rest and have the eye heal, because when you're training, you can agitate cuts. Absolutely. Anything on your body's working a lot harder. So is he going to just stop training? And then re up, and then he's still going to have a little bit of the cut to deal with. Is he going to get it like how's he going to spar? Is the spar going to be like a monitored spar? Don't hit the eye. I don't know. I'm thinking outside the box too much, but I just thought preparation wasn't ideal to have a training camp when you've got a busted up an eye. To put your all in camp.
Yeah, what are they going to spar? Just body shots? That's not going to really help much.
I don't know. Yeah. I don't. Well, they put Opetaya in, and then he had to leave the camp. There's a lot of rumors surrounding whether he floored Fury or it just didn't. The sparring didn't quite work out. But they didn't really. He didn't last too long in that camp, Opetaya. So.
Oh,
yeah. I don't know what happened there, but I just nothing like that I think about Fury makes me think he's going to win the fight. Other than I know he's got this steel mentality in there, and I know he's got the capabilities, but has he had enough time and has he been messing around outside the ring too much to be able to straighten his health out where he's like the best shape he's been in since the Wilder 2 fight?
Yeah. It makes you wonder. I've seen clips where it looks like he got real thin, and now I see clips where it looks like he might have put some weight back on. So I don't.
It's all a bit of a trick, isn't it? I can't tell sometimes.
Yeah. It's I'm like which Fury's gonna come? Is it gonna be the light? I don't know if he should come in too light. I think maybe 260. I don't really know about that. I don't know if he should drop the weight or keep the weight. It's kind of a hard thing to gauge.
I don't think he should drop too much lower than that. I think,
Yeah.
well, I don't know, because like, you know, he's going to have to keep up with the agility and the mobility of Usyk's foot speed. You know, he's constantly moving, and his lead hand is just doing all this trickery, like trying to keep up with that, with the foot speed, and the coordination on that is going to be a key for me. I think if he comes in too heavy, that should probably, in theory, slow that down. But
Yeah.
I don't know how much advantage it's going to get from losing more weight either. And the heavyweight division, to be honest, is slightly out of my forte, if I'm being totally honest. That's why I defer to you, bro, because I'm like, stuff like this with the bigger men, I'm not out of my depth, but I know more about, like, you know, guys my size, I suppose. What do you think the weight?
Like, what division do you like? Zero. What's your favorite division?
I like the welterweights. I like 140. I like middleweight, light heavyweight. You know, up higher. I still enjoy it. Don't get me wrong, but I'm more fascinated, and I understand those divisions far more. And maybe down to lightweight, and you know, even below that, I enjoy watching them. But there's a different physique and a different science behind, you know, the build up fighters, from age to, you know, how they move, how their feet are. So yeah, what are your thoughts on Fury with that weight? Do you think he would need to lose weight?
Yeah, I think he should probably come in. I forget the weight he was against Dillian White, but that was probably one of the best I've seen him. I think he should come in whatever weight he was for that fight, because he seemed to have lots of energy, and
Yeah,
I thought he looked. I mean, Dillian, you know, played a part in that because he looked so terrible. But I thought Fury looked really like he
good.
was just in his prime. And something you said too about you know, about fighters being different. You know, the heavyweights different than the welterweights. Emmanuel Stewart used to say that a lot of heavyweights don't have a lot of heart. He was saying a lot of these guys, they're big and intimidating looking, but they're not the, you know, the
Mm.
most mentally strong. So I was
Interesting.
like, yeah.
That's an
I
interesting
just,
point. Yeah, I wonder why that is, because like I'd not thought of that before.
yeah, I don't know if it's because they're so big, they assume like on the streets that someone's going to be intimidated by them because they're so big. Then they get in the ring and they see this guy has no fear. They're like, oh no, now what? Like, I don't really know how to fight.
Seriously heavy shots as well, you know, heavy
Yeah,
shots getting landed. I mean, that's another thing, isn't it? Getting hit by a heavyweight. Wow.
yeah, yeah.
Mm.
I mean, Emmanuel Stewart was so deep. Like, he was talking about before the Hearns Hagler fight. He came into the dressing room and one of the trainers was massaging Tommy Hearns' thighs and legs, and he screamed at him. He's like, "Stop!" He said
Mm.
that's one reason why Hearns couldn't keep his balance. He said because this guy was massaging his legs and it was turning them to spaghetti legs. He was relaxing his legs. He's like, you
Mm.
never massage a fighter's legs before he goes into a fight. I never heard anything like that.
Interesting to me. I'd never heard that either, but you know, that's the kind of wisdom that probably is missing today. Little stuff like that, because you would think
Yeah,
that's what people would do. You know, massage the
yeah,
legs. You know, all these sports scientists and nutritionists and whatever, they'd probably tell you to
yeah,
do. But
yeah. It's like I listened to him, Stacy McKinley. Stacy said, I forget the guy trainer that was banned from the sport, but he said he used to use an illegal tactic where he would put asthma medication, he'd break the tablets open, put it in the water, shake it up, and have his fighter drink it, and it would open up their lungs so they wouldn't get tired. And so they found out about it and banned him from the sport.
was it that
What is
guy?
that? Yeah,
Twisted?
Panama Lewis. Yeah,
Yeah,
you're right. Yeah,
bro.
Panama Lewis.
That was so bad when he did that against that Louis Rusto, I think it was, and he blinded that guy. And remember you seen that fight?
Oh, yeah, yeah. Wow, that was sad.
That was sad because they gave him that. He said you could see him in the corner. He's like, no, not that bottle. Give me the other bowl, and it had that stuff in it. And he made him like get a triple win. Basically, that's so messed up, bro.
Yeah,
But
it's like how do you even think to do that? Like how like what kind of mind do you, hey, let me get some asthma test? Like how would you even know to do that?
No, it's messed up, bro. But that's messed up. It caused so much drama and like psychological damage from families and the fighters, and it's just
Yeah.
bad. That's never good for the. It's just awful, that kind of stuff. But
Yeah, Panama Lewis, man. I remember he was in Tony Tucker's camp when Lennox Lewis fought Tony Tucker. He wasn't allowed into the corner, but I guess they let him in the building. But
mm,
yeah, he was an interesting guy, man. Who do you think? Well, what fighter was that? That was taking the padding out of his glove, Margarito. Who's that?
no, that was he. Margarito had the cast
The hand wraps.
buttoned up, and it like turned into like a solid, and
Oh,
like he got caught. Nazim Richardson actually caught him. As he did, he did it against Cotto because, well, there was no rule. He still denied it, I think, but he got caught in the Mosley fight, and Mosley knocked him out. And then everybody since then thought that he did it against Cotto. And actually, I was at the rematch when he fought Cotto too at the Garden for their
oh,
redemption.
there.
Yeah, that was amazing.
Wow.
Yeah, that was an amazing experience because after that, Sixth Avenue got shut down with just all boxing fans just shouting out Koto, and it was just like a magical because there no cars could get through because it was just a bunch of boxing fans. It was amazing.
Oh,
Yeah, it was one of the best boxing nights I think I've ever had. It was amazing.
so you've been in New York for a while then, right?
15 years, bro. Yeah, maybe 16 years, something like that. Yeah, long time.
Wow.
Long time,
So
man.
what so where were you from originally?
I'm from the UK, Surrey, in England. But I was actually born in America. We moved back, and then we moved to Germany for a few years, and then I moved back to the UK. I've been kind of everywhere, really, but I was born in the US, in Ohio, of all places, and then I grew up in England, and my parents are English, and then I moved back out here. I was on the West Coast in Seattle in 2006, and then I moved to New
Oh,
York
okay.
in '09. So done quite a bit.
Wow. I've always wanted to see New York. I'm a West Coast guy. Now I'm in Atlanta. I
We'll
can't
go
stand
to the
Atlanta,
gym,
man.
bro. Come down. I'll take you to Gleason's. We'll have a little. I'll get you on the
Oh
pack.
yeah.
You know.
Yeah, that'd be cool, man. I'd enjoy that.
Trainers.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'd
bro.
enjoy that.
No, definitely. Let me know. But I probably got to shoot, bro. I'm gonna have to get a few bits and bobs done. I've got a few videos I want to get ready and set up for
Okay.
tomorrow. But
Oh,
I would have to catch us. I'd love to do a part two again sometime. We can go in a little
oh
bit
yeah.
deep on the
Oh
background.
yeah, man. Anytime you want to come on, man, just let me know, man. Y'all
Yeah.
go subscribe to Boxing on the Edge, man. Great platform, knows his stuff. Like I said, go follow him on Instagram, and you won't be disappointed, and you'll learn some things too. So, hey, man,
Appreciate
thanks
that,
for
bro.
coming through, man.
Thank you so much for having me, and best of luck with your channel. And then, like I said, we'll do a part two soon. I'll reach out to you on Instagram, and we'll get it going. This has been a lot of fun. I really appreciate it, bro.
Oh man, like I said, anytime, man. Have a good rest of your day.
Likewise, mate. Cheers, bro.
Peace.
Peace, mate.
That was Boxing on the Edge, y'all. Hope y'all enjoyed that interview, man. He's a real cool guy, man. I love his technique. I love the accent, man. I just love my UK people, man. So go subscribe to Boxing on the Edge, Tony's Reviews, Sports Prediction 101, Bruce Gas, Boxing Jazz, and more. And I'll probably put out some more videos today. And shout out to my dude Kurt, Counterpunch Boxing News. Go subscribe to him. Boxing Wave, everybody that your boy in the bunker, go subscribe to him. Andrew Tucker World, DT3, the Boon Man. Let's see, who else is there out there? Hope I'm not forgetting anybody. Boxing Wave, of course, Showbiz. He don't need me to tell you guys to subscribe to him. This dude, he ain't playing around. Um, let's see, Mr. Boxing Today too. Go subscribe to all these great platforms that I watch, and I really enjoyed chopping it up. And Thanks for tuning in, y'all. LSR forever. Make sure to comment, share, subscribe. If you wish to hit up the Cash App, is $JRoos33, and you can become a member here on YouTube as well. Thanks for watching. Be fearless. Yay.